You know, I think that 4 years ago, what sort of got baked into much of the media coverage was just this sort of formulaic approach where what journalists
Insure,
would do is
invest,
throw rocks at Trump.
protect. Mutual of Omaha, protect your kingdom.
Oftentimes
Until that dog arrived on the doorstep, and Earth
I talk about it like it used to be feel bad was going to be so horrible. That was sort of just how they structured their question. You know, and so I think now it's clear that the election results showed that is not a good business model either. And I think that whether journalists get there, of their own volition, I think probably.
All right, Doe's co-founder Vivek Ramaswamy will no longer head the department, leaving Elon Musk as the sole chair. Edward Lawrence joins us live from the White House with more. Edward, what's the backstory?
Yeah, so he's stepping away possibly for future endeavors, and I'll get to that in just a second. Elon Musk was spotted here on the White House complex yesterday, and noticeably absent was his Doe's duo brother, Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, a Trump transition spokesperson says that Vivek has stepped away from the Department of Government Efficiency because he's possibly going to run for the governor of Ohio. Now, on social media, Vivek says this. He says, quote, it was my honor to help support the creation of Doge. I'm confident that Elon and the team will succeed in streamlining government. I'll have more to say soon about my future plans for Ohio. Last night, when President Trump signed the executive order creating Doge, he was asked about the world's richest person getting an office in the West Wing.
This is an order creating and implementing the Department of Governmental Efficiency known as Doge.
Yeah, it's a big one. No, he's getting into a face to about 20 people who are hiring to make sure that these get implemented.
So Doge now is off the ground and started running with those 20 folks that are here on the complex, and we'll have to see what day 2 of the Trump administration has to offer. I can tell you that the lights are on in the residence right now. They were on when I got here at 5:30. Thank you, guys.
All right, Edward, thanks so much. I'm Steve Ducey. I'm Brian Tillman.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to support.
I was going to do that. I was thinking, can I wear tennis in Lululemon? And I'll change there. And they all said there's nowhere to change. So I guess it was after.
That's true.
Yeah.
Jackie, thank you very much.
Thanks,
All right, so let's review some of the. You're welcome. So let's review some of the things that we went through over the last few days. Through that, take a picture. Yeah, we like the party. So Ainsley and I. Great, because we do a morning show. We get up at 2 o'clock in the morning. So let's try to stay until midnight every night. We were at Super Bowl last night and had a great time. We did the Sean Hannity show, and also got to see the president and first lady, vice president and second lady as well. Wow, and it was so good to see you two together. We never see you guys together.
Welcome to Reinvented with Accenture.
It's nice. What if you could get Big Bank Muscle with Small Bank Muscle? Big Bank convenience and Small Bank connection. That's First Horizon, bringing together the best of big and small to help you on the road to your horizon. If you're unsure or unaware of your eyeglass prescription, or if your prescription changes frequently due to nearsightedness or far.
So it was fantastic. Well, Sean was going to go on just for an hour, from 9 to 10. That's why he went to the Commander in Chief ball. That was the first ball where Trump was going to dance and come out. And so then in the middle of the show, actually 10 minutes before we went on air, his producer was very here saying, Sean, you're going to do 2 hours. He was like, okay, that's not right for 2 hours. I think we're going to get John and talk a little bit of that. So we all stayed for an extra 2 hours. I think we got maybe 2 hours of sleep.
2 hours sleep.
Yeah, that's all right.
All right, so I had a chance to go to this wonderful cocktail party hosted by Todd Ricketts, Tony Fertitta, and Mark Zuckerberg. And in the back of the room was Mark Zuckerberg. And it was so approachable. It was great to have a chance to talk to him, expand on some of the things he'd been saying, the new direction in the company. And there's a shot of me walking up to him and saying, well, I have nowhere to go. I'm stuck in a corner. What do I do? But I just found him unbelievably authentic. He did tell me how insulting it was to be called an overlord by President Biden.
Especially after he gave Soros the Medal of Freedom.
He just said, for those people in the Silicon Valley that were Democrats, Joe Biden has blown that up. There's the great Huckabee family, and it's good to see the future. I think she's going to run for president eventually. There's the speaker and his lovely wife. They were able to tell me what's going on and say they got 4 or 5 more stops and they also have to pass a bunch of bills before the night. And there's my NATO General Secretary and Senator Lindsey Graham. We were just trying to make the world peace a reality. And unfortunately, I had to leave before I could actually do it. That is Douglas North. It's hard to see from this angle, from the Liberty ball. I mean, how many pitches did you take? I'm too loud. I got no idea.
Brian Kilmeade.
I know, right? Look at this. It's Josh Owens and Governor Brian Kemp. They were a little off me. I thought, guys, just treat me like everybody else. That's all I asked them.
See, the thing is, if Brian takes a lot of pictures with that tuxedo on, then he can amortize the cost of the over another picture.
It was just fun. Sweetie, I just love talking to people, to get a perspective on what's going on. I'm sure I annoy them. Yeah, because I'm not really good at small talk. Because you're also not right a number of the list. I did. I got a bunch of numbers. I got Senator. I can't say, but I got a very important senator's number last night. Right, so it's gonna help. It's gonna make the show better.
There you go. And there I am at the Southern States Welcome Ball. That beautiful woman in the middle is my middle child, Mary Ducey, who works here in Washington, D.C., and on her arm is her husband, Marshall. He works in Congress. It was really nice to be with them. And, the great thing about going out to these balls where people from all over the country come in is it's like we have stepped into their living room, and all these people come over and they say, hey, listen, tell me about this and this and this. And, of course, everybody was so excited. The 2 topics at the ball, number 1, the weather, that it sucked, and number 2, that their side won. They won the election, and they were so excited for yesterday at noon, and then it came, and now there's...
I have a suggestion. We should have a Fox and Friends ball. We should have a ball, right? Yeah. I think that we could do it this way. We know exactly what we're going to be able to get input. We don't need passes. Number 2, we get the chance to meet the people in an organized way. You just walk around, you feel you're not spending enough time with them, you're learning alone. Here's the thing about a ball. You got to dance. I'm going to look to dance. If you commit, it's like, I'll learn you that.
This $99 intelligent drone is disrupting the entire photography industry, and big brands are trying their hardest.
Mr. Durham, that's the people who this is all about. Let me ask you, another investigation revealed that Russia interfered in the 2016 election in a sweeping and systemic fashion, correct?
That's correct.
And Russia did so through a social media campaign that favored Donald Trump and disparaged Hillary Clinton, correct?
So the report says yes.
Mueller found that a Russian intelligence service hacked computers associated with the campaign and then released the stolen documents publicly. Is that right?
That report speaks for itself as well.
Mueller also reported that though he could not establish the crime of conspiracy beyond a reasonable doubt, he also said, quote, a statement that the investigation did not establish certain facts does not mean there was no evidence of those facts. It also appears in the quote, doesn't it?
It's language to that effect, yes.
In fact, you cited that very statement in your own report, did you not? As a way of distinguishing between proof beyond a reasonable doubt and evidence that falls short of proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
Correct.
As an illustration of this, both Mueller and congressional investigations found that Trump's campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, was secretly meeting with an operative linked to Russian intelligence named Konstantin Kilimnik, correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
And that Manafort, while chairman of the Trump campaign, gave that Russian intelligence operative the campaign's internal polling data, correct?
That's what I've read in the minutes, yes.
And that Manafort provided this information to Russian intelligence while Russian intelligence was engaged in that social media campaign and the release of stolen documents of the Trump campaign, correct?
You may be getting beyond the depth of my knowledge, but
Well, let me say very simply, while Manafort, the campaign chairman for Donald Trump, was giving this Russian intelligence officer internal campaign polling data, Russian intelligence was helping the Trump campaign, wasn't it?
I don't know that.
You really don't know those very basic facts of the investigation?
I know the general facts, yes. Do I know that particular fact myself? No. I mean, I know that I've read that in the media.
They were, Mr. Durham, that Mueller and congressional investigations also revealed that Don Jr. was informed that a Russian official was offering the Trump campaign, quote, very high level and sensitive information, unquote, that would be incriminating if Hillary Clinton was part of, quote, Russia and its government support of Mr. Trump. You aware of that?
Or people get phone calls all the time from individuals who claim to have information like that.
Really, the single presidential candidate gets calls all the time from the foreign government offering dirt on their opponent. Is that what you're saying?
I don't think this is unique in your experience.
So you have other instances of the Russian government offering dirt on a presidential candidate to the presidential candidate's. Is that what you're saying?
Would you repeat the question?
You said that it's quite common to get offers of help from a hostile foreign government in the presidential campaign directed at the president's. You understand that, Mr. President?
I'm saying that people who make phone calls making claims all the time that you may have experienced.
Really trying to diminish the significance of what happened here in the secret meeting that the president set up in Trump Tower to receive that incriminating information, trying to diminish the significance of this.
We're not trying to diminish it all, but I think the more complete story is that they met and it was abuse and they didn't know this is fine.
And you think it's insignificant that he had a secret meeting with the Russian delegation for the purpose of getting dirt on Hillary Clinton. And this expressed the meeting was the God wasn't better. You don't think that's significant?
I don't think that was a well-advised thing to do.
Not well advised. Right, well, that's the understatement of the year. Do you think it's perfectly appropriate or maybe just ill-advised for a presidential campaign to secretly meet with a Russian delegation to get dirt on their opponent? You would really say that's inadvisable?
If you're asking what I do, I hope I wouldn't do it. But it's not illegal. It's stupid, foolish, ill-advised.
Well, it is illegal to conspire to get incriminating opposition research in the hostile government that is of financial value to a campaign. Wouldn't that violate campaign laws?
I don't know all those facts to be true.
Well, your report, Mr. Durham, doesn't dispute anything that you did it.
Now, our object, our aim was not to dispute Director Mueller. I have the greatest regard, highest regard for Director Mueller. He's a patriot.
The only distinction between his investigation and yours is he refused to bring charges where he couldn't prove guilty under reasonable doubt, and you did.
Mr. Durham, some of the people today, including Ranking Member Nadler, Representative from California, Mr. Schiff, Mr. Swalwell, and Mr. Liu, have attacked you. Mr. Ranking Member Nadler called your report a political exercise with ethical ambiguity. Mr. Liu called you a partisan hack. However, it seems that they're taking issue not so much with the conclusions of your report as those of Mr. Mueller's report, which concluded that the investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities. That conclusion directly contradicted
I always wondered what happened to him.
by those representatives. For example, Mr. Schiff in 2017-2018
So now I know what
such as the Russians offered
Governor Newsom.
gave help, and the president made full use of that help, and that is pretty damning. He also said that there's clear evidence of leadership collusion. He said
Government Newsom is up to his same old shenanigans when he was
Are those statements supported by the
Beavis, the
Mr.
butthead.
Are those statements supported by the Mueller report?
I don't believe so.
Mr. Manafort stated it's clear that the campaign concluded and there's a lot of evidence of that. The president involved. Mr. Manafort also said there was obviously a lot of collusion. Mr. Manafort, were those statements supported by the Mueller report?
I don't believe they're supported by the Mueller report.
Mr. Liu stated in a press release in March of 2017 that the bombshell revelation that U.S. officials have information that suggests Trump associates may have
Here's how to get your.
with the Russians means we must call it the entire Trump agenda. We may have an illegitimate president of the United States currently occupying the White House. Mr. Durham, did the Mueller report establish that we had an illegitimate president occupying the White House?
Not to my knowledge.
Mr. Swalwell stated in 2018, in our investigation, we saw strong evidence of collusion. Did the Mueller report support that there was
Adam Schiff is a visual liar who should have been fired a long time ago when he was lying about the Hillary Clinton dossier. He knew it was a hoax. He knew it was made up. Hillary Clinton and her legal lying lawyer got caught
Mr. Mueller himself made a public statement in January of 2019.
lying,
CNN headline reports office disputes BuzzFeed report.
and Hillary just got a fine she had to pay, and her legal lying lawyer got acquitted. What type of fucking legal system do we have? Literally, how in the fuck you expect to get any type of justice when the fucking criminals are the ones running the system? You cannot trust the FBI. You cannot trust the CIA. You cannot trust the conscious community. You cannot trust the CDC. You cannot trust the FDA. You cannot trust none of these organizations dealing with this government of fucking criminals. We're $35 trillion in debt, and both fucking parties point at each other, and the truth is the truth. Both fucking parties is having a party on us. They're robbing the taxpayers. Because my question to anybody is this: how in the fuck do our kids and grandkids be born into debt, but the elite assholes like the ones that's running our government, the state officials, their fucking family members are being born into wealth? How the fuck does that work when they work for us? How in the fuck are they getting richer and we're getting poorer, and it's our fucking business? The United States of America's corporation is just that, a corporation. It's a business. It's for the people, by the people, but the people don't have no fucking say-so. The people allowed some representatives to represent them, but they don't represent us. The representatives go to the White House.
Specific political party or campaign. Could you just expound on that a little bit? This idea that there are prudential considerations that may counsel against prosecution.
Go to the White House to represent us, but they don't represent us. They go to the White House and represent their fucking pockets, because they go to the White House to line their fucking pockets, because they're not working for the people, they're working against the people. And it's time for this shit to stop.
That there's sufficient evidence to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt, the jury will convict, and that the conviction can be sustained on appeal. There may be those instances in which you're pretty well convinced that a crime was committed, and you can identify the person who committed it, but you can't in good faith say a jury is likely to convict in this case. We believe that a jury will convict, and we can sustain it on appeal. Those are the principles that we try to apply here, that we follow here. They're the same principles that I've followed for 4 years as a prosecutor.
But what are you referring to when you say that there might be additional considerations involving perception to criminalize the behavior of the workers?
Yeah, it's difficult things. For example, taking this case, I think all the members of the committee have had access to the advantage. I don't know that we filed a classified appendix here, right? There are some prosecutions where it may very well be that it looks like and think you can prove the crime beyond a reasonable doubt, but because of the classified nature of much of your evidence, it's never going to see the light of day. So that might be a big prosecution. Things of that sort that come up to are part of the prevention judgment that a prosecutor has to make in these matters.
I yield back. Gentleman from Texas recognized. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Durham, thank you for being here today, and thank you for your tireless work on this today. A very sobering report. The American people were forced to endure years of the Russia probe, and for what? I'll tell you why. It's because my Democrat colleagues, Boss Guy, the Clintons, the dishonest mainstream media, and the rest of the deep state have been terrified of Donald Trump from the beginning, and their hatred and fear remains today. From the 34-count felony indictment from the radical DA in Manhattan to the most recent 37-count felony indictment in Mar-a-Lago, they just won't stop. They won't stop. Mr. Durham, I want to walk through a few things for the American people in this 300-page report, Crossfire Hurricane. For those that are watching who don't know, this was the code name for the investigation undertaken by the FBI into whether the Trump campaign was coordinating with Russia to interfere in the 2016 presidential election. Mr. Durham, it says on page 9, at the direction of FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe and FBI Deputy Assistant Director for Counterintelligence Peter Strzok, Crossfire Hurricane was opened immediately. Is that correct?
That's correct.
First, let's talk about who these two characters were. On page 9 of your report, it says Strzok and Deputy Director McCabe's special assistant had pronounced hostile feelings toward Trump. In text messages before and after the opening of Crossfire Hurricane, the two had referred to him as loathsome, an idiot, Donald Trump, an idiot, someone who used the Clinton commitment theory, and Strzok once wrote, "Will stop," meaning Trump, from becoming president. So here we have these two leaders in the FBI, Strzok clearly expressing his hatred towards Trump from the beginning, opening an investigation 6 months before the 2016 election. And where are these two guys now? McCabe, he's been a contributor at CNN, the Clinton News Network, since 2019, and Strzok is an expert on the Mar-a-Lago raid. Strzok is an expert on the Mar-a-Lago raid. Both continuing to dispel lies to the American people. On page 10 in your report, within days after opening Crossfire Hurricane, the FBI opened full investigation on members of the Trump campaign team. The FBI then began working on requests for the use of police authorities against Carter Page. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Folks, let me highlight who this American hero is. Carter Page was painted as an alleged Russian agent. Carter Page served his nation honorably. He was a Naval Academy graduate, and the FBI spied on Carter Page through the use of FISA authority. Sir, do you believe that this FISA warrant against Carter Page was flawed?
Yes.
Mr. Durham, Section 702 of the FISA expires this year, and I'm sure you're familiar with FISA and Section 702. Just for the people listening at home, FISA stands for the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, which was created in 1978. In 2008, FISA 702 was added. Section 702 was created for us to have the authority to spy on non-U.S. citizens. Mr. Durham, we all know that Carter Page was an American citizen who served his nation honorably, and yet the FBI conducted surveillance, including wiretap, based on falsified information by agents in the FBI. Mr. Page was an honest American, innocent man. Mr. Durham, the FBI obviously abuses its FISA authority. They run after Carter Page, and it's my intent, and I hope the intent of my colleagues, that we do not reauthorize Section 702 because the FBI cannot be trusted. Finally, I want to talk about Charles Dolan and Mr. Denchenko, who was the main source of the Steele dossier. Dolan had played multiple roles in the Democrat National Party. He worked out both political campaigns, real and Hillary. He was working with friends. Page 15 of your report, it says that in the summer and fall of 2016, Dolan and Denchenko traveled to Moscow in connection with a business conference. The business conference was held at the Ritz-Carlton in Moscow, which, according to the Steele report, was allegedly the site of salacious sexual conduct on the part of Trump. Parents, if you're watching, earmuffs for your kids now, folks. Put earmuffs for your children. Mr. Durham, was this salacious sexual element? What is that?
The allegation was that...
Okay, don't answer that.
think about this, America. In the game of politics, it gets dirty and nasty. And the people will say anything to beat their opponent. But this is the government doing it. Even the director of the FBI told me, said, it's possible Trump was with hookers peeing on each other. Christopher Steele said an infamous Trump pee tape probably exists. Alleged pee tape incident was the only sex Trump party in Russia. You want to irritate the suburban mom at home? 5 months before an election, tell them the Republican-leading candidate is peeing on prostitutes. We are aware of the member of this committee having an alleged affair with a Chinese spy, I refer to as Yum Yum, but this is a new law for anyone, and I would hope Mr. Swalwell would agree with me. Imagine if somebody would have said and taken it a step further, Mr. Swalwell was peeing on Yum Yum. It's unacceptable. This has got to stop. The FBI needs it.
The gentleman has
I
expired.
yield back.
All right, I want to yield the remainder of my time to Mr. Schiff. Mr. Durham, did you see communications pertaining to Mr. Bernard from the federal district judge?
I'm not. Assuming that prosecutors go to judges for certain kinds of orders, they are typically sealed proceedings on the state.
Did you see them?
Direct your question, but I'm not going to comment on anything that I believe is under seal.
Did you see a court order to obtain personal communications to Mr. Gordon?
I'm not going to speak beyond the report on that point, and I'm not going to violate any of your sealing orders.
I don't think it would violate any sealing orders. Tell us if you saw personal communications by court order. Did you?
Again, it's beyond the report.
Well, let's not even subject it to sealing orders. And did you seek court orders to obtain particular records, and were you denied by the judge?
I think the question is, intended to suggest that I don't want to display something.
This is what I asked you, Mr. Durham. I get to give the answer, not the question. The question is, did you seek a court order to get records from a judge pertaining to private communications, and were you turned down by the judge for lack of sufficient basis?
I've told you
Yes or no?
it's beyond the report. I don't think I'm authorized to talk about it, and I'm not going to violate
It's
it.
not beyond the report. It's not beyond the report.
You see anything in the report about that?
Yes. Did you seek an order, and were you turned down? And then did you seek to go around the court order by going to the grand jury?
No. You'd like to know what that was about?
What I would like to know, Mr. Durham, is did Mrs. Danahy, who resigned from your team, raise ethical concerns while you're trying to go around the court order?
My knowledge, no.
And why did she leave?
I told you before, previously, that I have the highest regard for Ms. Danahy. Ms. Danahy and I are friends. Ms. Danahy,
You know why she left, right?
I'm not
You
sure.
know the answer to the question. You know why she left, right?
Time of the gentleman has expired. I'd also yield the balance of my time to the chairman. I appreciate the gentleman for yielding. So Dan Chico's the primary subsource. A few years before he does this work, he was investigated by the FBI for espionage. Is that right, Mr. Durham?
Correct.
And that case was halted because the FBI thought he left the country, right?
Correct.
Had he left the country? No. Where was he living?
You remained living in the place he was living when they opened the investigation.
Right here in D.C., right?
Yeah.
He hadn't left anywhere. He's right here in D.C. and they were going to stop it. And then they go hire him, use the tax money of the people I get the privilege of representing to pay this guy who they obviously knew was a Russian spy. They hire him, who's the source of all the false information. Is that true?
They paid him, they hired it, they paid him.
Couple $100,000, if I recall, right?
It's over $200,000.
Yeah, and then this guy's hanging out with Dolan, Charles Dolan, who's a buddy of the Clintons, who's also a source for the false dossier that was used to spy an American citizen. He's hanging out with Dolan. In fact, don't they meet on a park bench somewhere in Arlington, Virginia on New Year's Day?
New Year's Day, middle of the day.
This is straight out of the movies, right? And the FBI says, but we're not going to talk to Charles Dolan. This is two of the dumbest things I've ever heard of. They won't talk. They pay a guy who's a Russian spy, who's the source of the dossier. The other source of the dossier is Charles Dolan, who meets with that guy on a park bench in Arlington, and they don't want to interview him. You can't make this stuff up. But that's what Comey's FBI did. And they're still doing this kind of baloney because Mr. D'Antuono told us so, running operations, running investigations out of headquarters instead of assigning a U.S. attorney, the job you did for a long time and did very well. That is a huge problem. And your report, that's why your report's valuable.